what does a top performer really mean? That's a big statement in itself. Is that just hitting quota? Is that being a trusted advisor? How would you see yourself as a top performer? Is it just staying in the game long enough? Just keep like me and Dave being there long enough and just keeping the skin in the game for long enough to be a performer. But yeah, I think the world has changed in the way people are using technology. Fundamentally, one of the biggest improvements I made to my sales career, believe it or not, is getting on into LinkedIn and having that personal branding piece. It's not something that's easy to do and takes serious commitment to do, and serious consistency to do, but it's something that I can't stress enough. So also, you really need to have the ability to have that technical EQ now, really understand the really nuts and bolts of email deliverability, how to set up and use AI tools and all of these different tech stack that you would use across the sales and marketing. And then also have the classic understanding of marketing and psychology itself. That's something I think that isn't being taught as much as well, especially with people coming to their careers. They're just getting all this shiny tech, but aren't really understanding the fundamentals of psychology and sales and marketing and what make people tick. I think that's something that really needs to be explored a great deal for people as well. Then combine that with someone who's just really got that grit. Someone like you said, making sure that they enjoy this job. They hold their head up, they hold their chin up, and see that the actual impact that they can have to driving revenue for their business, but also for themselves, because it's an opportunity to have a career with no ceiling and pretty low barrier to entry. So just having that like winner's mindset, as they say, someone just has that ability to get up every day and do consistent quality work. That's something that's very important. And having the emotional skills as well, which we'll talk about the back end of this session around the mental health part as well. It's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. But yeah, really top performers for me is someone, who it's not just about hitting your number and hitting those goals, but can be seen as a trusted advisor and, from the people they're reaching out to or they're working with. And sometimes just having those harder conversations and saying no and pushing back and not just being, a nodding dog, one for a better expression. But really for me, like I just had to put in a nutshell, top performers now really need to have, so many strings to their bows now, having that technical aspect, which I can't stress enough. If you're not upskilling yourself within that, you don't want to be, scaremongering. You will be left behind. It is coming, and it is already taking over a lot of the jobs in sales. But do you want to go down that route? There's whole new jobs now in go-to-market teams where they're not doing the traditional sales things. They're building out playbooks. They're building out automations with make.com and things like that, which is a really interesting route for a salesperson to go down to now. But then also combining that with the classical grit of being a salesperson, but then and all the emotional and psychology piece as well. But yeah, mixing up all the different channels, not relying on one different channel, testing and iterating as you go along, and being obsessive over understanding who you serve and why they should care. But yeah, I think it's ever really changing world out there at the moment, and I think it's pretty exciting for salespeople as well. If you really want to upskill, there's plenty of opportunities to go out there and learn to do that. But yeah, it's I think that the bar is pretty low at the moment, so it doesn't take much to really stand out, because AI and all this stuff is just, how many emails in your inbox have you just even look any good, or how many cold calls have you had recently? Any one of you? You haven't. So just, I think it's putting a bit of effort in, and it does go a long way at the moment.